and welcome to another edition of Power Wheel, a production of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN. We bring you top reports in the power sector. Here are the headlines. Oshibajo says federal government committed to power sector growth, injects 1.5 trillion naira in 2 years. Federal government tasks chartered accountants on accountability. NEMSA meets DISCOs to certify meters before installation. On the interview segment, the Managing Director of TCN, Mr. Usman Guru Mohammed, speaks on instilling discipline in the electricity market. We assure you that this edition will be an exciting one. Do stay with us on this program. I am Chinwenwa Anyao. Vice President Yemi Oshibajo has reiterated the federal government's commitment to the growth and development of the power sector, saying the government injected 1.5 trillion naira intervention fund into the sector in the last 2 years.
Oshibajo, who was represented by the Minister of Power, Engineer Salim Mamman, at a power sector roundtable hosted by Mainstream Energy Solutions Limited, MESL, at the Kainji hydropower plant in Niger State recently, said,
"The federal government of Nigeria continue to support this sector through the provision of the various interventions. However, we all know that no government can thrive without the private sector playing a fundamental role in building on the foundation laid down by the government. The Federal Executive Council has recently approved the third round of intervention funding for the sector, with a total of about 1.5 trillion in the last 2 years. However, if the country is to achieve its aim of channeling funding to other critical sectors of the economy, it is pertinent that structural reform be put in place to enable the power sector to fund itself.
Available records showed that the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, released 701 billion naira to help generation companies, GENCOs, to cover operational expenses between 2017 and 2018. The FEC recently approved another 600 billion naira for GENCOs, which totaled the 1.5 trillion naira intervention fund. Shortly before he declared the meeting open, the VP said a robust power sector was crucial for the administration's plan to tackle poverty.
President Muhammad Buhari has reiterated at various fora that primary objective of the federal government is to lift 100 million Nigerians out of poverty in 10 years. And this cannot be achieved without a proven power sector to galvanize and industrialize the revolution for Nigeria. The continuous growth of the sector is of critical importance to the Buhari administration. As such, we assure this congregation that we will do our utmost best to establish the appropriate policies to address the issues such as collection of receivables, which has real implication for the generation and distribution companies, and the establishment of the cost of collection tariff for the sector.
The Chairman Board of Directors of Mainstream Energy Solutions Limited, Colonel Sani Bello retired, urged the federal government to intervene in ensuring that monthly invoices payment for GENCOs are stepped up from the current 15%. He added that his firm has recorded great milestones since the 2013 privatization.
Mainstream Energy Solutions, as you know, is the concessionaire of Kainji and Jema. Today, we have seen Kainji hydro power plants. I hope the next time we'll be able to show you our other plant, which is Jema hydro plant. When we took over these two plants about almost 6 years ago, the generation capacity then was less than 300 megawatts. Today, I'm glad to say We have more than doubled that.
At a panel session, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, Mr. Usman Gold Mohammed, evaluated the power sector privatization.
Today, the generation capacity is between 7,500 and 8,000. Now, the transmission capacity based on the last simulation we did in 2018, that is December, was 8,100. So, if you look at the distribution capacity when we did the privatization was about 3,000. Now, if you look at the last peak that we did in February 2019, the distribution capacity has actually reached 5,375. So if you ask whether we have moved, of course we have made some progress, but not the way we expect. It's supposed to be more than this.
Mr. Mohammed also spoke about the giant leap in transmission infrastructure through its massive rehabilitation and expansion program to ensure that TCN wheels more bulk electricity for onward supply to customers by the distribution companies, DISCOs. The TCN boss also advocated for a willing buyer, willing seller electricity market regime through the eligible customer regulation to drive competition and ensure uninterrupted power supply to industries.
What is a willing buyer, willing seller? I mean, those industries should contract with the generator and then TCN will win the electricity for them. And then there should be contingent liability. The one we signed with Mainstream, about 5 of them, I'm sure if they are here, they will tell you. Some of them have confirmed and confessed that if that decision was not taken, they would have died. They would have been out of industry. And what do we have? Almost all of them that signed that eligible customer, they were paying distribution about 47 naira per kilowatt hour. Now they are ending paying about 30 naira per kilowatt hour. And at the same time, there's a contingent liability. Meaning if TCN does not perform to those industries, they will pay penalty. The same thing, the generator, they have to perform. So what I'm saying is that if we want this industry to perform, we have to move towards willing buyer, willing seller. And then moving towards willing buyer, willing seller, meaning we should look at those places that can pay itself and take them out of government guarantee. That's what we're saying. But if you continue to increase the guarantee, expand the guarantee, that means this industry continue to be unsustainable.
Members of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN, have been tasked on ensuring accountability in their profession in order to help the present administration in the fight against corruption.
President Muhammadu Buhari gave the charge recently as the special guest of honor at the opening session of the 49th Annual Accountants Conference held in Abuja. The president, who was represented by the secretary to the government of the Federation, SDF, Mr. Boss Gida Mustafa, said,
"Our unrelenting fight against corruption is in reality a struggle for nation building and the future. Corruption and impunity becomes widespread when accountability is disregarded. Disrespect for accountability also thrives when people get away with all manner of questionable deeds and accountants somehow unable to check them. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to note that ICANN's Accountability Index is no doubt another of your great initiatives to support the government in our resolve to rid our country of the cankerworm of corruption."
He noted that cultivating integrity and truthfulness will greatly promote national development, as he urged the accountants, saying,
"Only those who are truthful in little things can be sincere in big things. I urge you to search out and sanction corruption in your spheres of influence, no matter how little. The course of the action will be better served if men of goodwill with professional skills take up the challenge of national service in this manner. It is our hope that these islands of integrity would gradually expand to envelop the entire nation, thereby creating a wholesome nation of which we can all be proud of.
The 55th president of ICANN, Mr. Nnamdi Okwadigbo, lauded the presidency for identifying with ICANN at the conference. He said the institute is committed to complementing government's efforts in promoting inclusive growth and development. To attain this level, Okwadigbo said,
"A nation cannot claim to have joined the global trend of inclusive growth and development until there is deliberate and committed actions to ensure we reach the desired destination. In reaching the desired destination, we have to abandon the tradition of policy inconsistency, promote accountability, and enshrine the rule of law in the country. That is the time to redeem our image in the Committee of Nations."
The Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, Mr. Usman Gur Mohammed, at the event presented a paper titled Path to Overcoming Security and Infrastructure Challenges in Nigeria. Mr. Mohammed said a robust power sector that could boost industrialization, agriculture, create jobs, and reduce poverty level. Tackling poverty will take people away from criminal tendencies, the TCN boss argued.
Power is the driver of modern technology, and based on its demand and application and its linkages and other infrastructure depends on them.
At the plenary session of the conference, Mr. Mohammed noted that the Northeast is flung from power generation stations and has had inadequate power transmission infrastructure. He said that is beginning to change as TCN was working to improve the transmission infrastructure in the region.
We provided 330 kV substation in Jamatu and also 330 kV substation in Libu. Now, before now, the whole of Northeast has only 330 kV substations. We completed 2. That means what? We put 100% of the existing capacity in the Northeast. And we are not stopped there. We have structured a project that will put 330 kV in Manguno and substation in Manguno, Mante, Dikwa, Bama, Goza, Chico, Ruba, Bubi, Gula. And all those places, we are putting power in those places. And it's being financed by the African Development. Because we know, if we don't take economic activity to those places, those people, there is no way we're going to have this.
Responding to questions at the plenary session, the TCN boss spoke of intervention to rectify faults at the transmission line that was built through the National Integrated Power Project, NIPP, from Aloji in Abia State to Onitsha in Anambra State.
Aloji Onitsha line is actually the line that we have the highest number of instability on the grid now. Meaning more than 30% of the line instability we have on the grid comes from that line. But the line was awarded under NIPP several years ago. And we evaluated and we discovered that time will not be realized. So it's either we fold our arms and watch, or we look for money just like we are looking for money to fund other places. And that's why that project is being funded under the African Development Bank. And the procurement of that has gone very far.
Let's take a break for a short message. Please stay tuned.
Verify that land before you buy it. To drastically reduce the incidence of building under the transmission right-of-way or encroaching on designated TCN land, members of the public are hereby requested to verify land near or along transmission line route before purchasing it. Verification should be made in the Land Development Authority or at the TCN office. This would help in drastically reducing the incidence of building under transmission line right-of-way and save us all the problem of pulling down the structure or truncating transmission line expansion projects in your community due to court injunction. Help us serve you better. Verify that land before you buy it.
As the electricity distribution companies, DISCOs, begin to deploy meters to their customers under the Meter Assets Providers (MAPS) regime, the Managing Director of the Nigerian Electricity Management Services Agency, NEMSA, Engineer Peter Ewoso, says the meters must be tested and certified before they are installed.
Engineer Eweso, who met with representatives of the DISCOs and the MAP firms during a recent forum organized by NEMSA in Abuja. He said the essence of the meeting was to meet with all critical stakeholders to ensure that there is a better understanding of different roles of the players in the MAP scheme.
We should not just look at all of us cramping to take all our meters just to one meter test station, and that is Oshodi. That is the only time we can have challenge. We have our meter test station in Kaduna, fully equipped. All the men and equipment are there, and all we need is bring the meter, we test them. Port Harcourt is equally being repositioned and is fully functional. Bring your equipment, your metering services, both the meters and the instrument will be able to we can cope. If we find any reason to even go to second shift, we will do that. But from the records we have, I think we are capable of dealing with those issues.
NEMSA had prepared itself to test electricity meters before they are deployed by the MAP firms under the supervision of the DISCOs. It is expected that 5.545 million meters will be deployed from 2019 to 2022. The breakdown shows that 1.064 million meters will be installed in 2019 and 2.674 million will be added by 2020. For the year 2021, the MAP firms will install 1.593 million meters, while 313,637 meters will be installed in 2022. The NEMSA boss, in a presentation, also cautioned the MAP firms against wrong meter installation that could change the DISCO and the customer. He added that installed meters should be checked by the DISCOs regularly.
Meters are not installed and for perpetual usage. After a period of time, they need to check them out and find out whether this meter are still meeting the quality and the accuracy that has actually been set. Some people have reported that their meters did not have NEMSA seal. And when we moved to that particular environment to go and check, really there were no NEMSA seal. And unfortunately, those meters did not comply with the specifications and requirements of the metering code. And that is why it's very essential, very important that deployment of meters can only be effective, can only be reliable if you actually make sure you follow all the relevant processes and procedures before you deploy your meters.
This week, the Managing Director of TCN, Mr. Usman Guru Mohammed, had an interview session with the pressmen during a West African Power Pool synchronization meeting in Abuja. Mr. Mohammed, who is also the Chairman Executive Board of WAP, speaks on some operational actions that could improve Nigeria's power sector. What is the significance of the WAP synchronization meeting?
Last year we had this kind of meeting also where we brought all the utilities in West Africa, especially the generators and the transmission companies, where we look at the frequency control. Now this time around we are doing the same thing but in a different form. This time around we are specifically looking at the generators. So the ECO WAP has recruited GE, which will look at all the free governor in all the generators in West Africa. And this workshop is to synthesize all the generators for them to cooperate with GE so that we can tune the generators free governor in a way that it will be easier to synchronize the 3 islands across West Africa. Currently, West Africa, 9 countries are connected. We have remaining 5 countries will be connected when we completed the line from Cote d'Ivoire to Sierra Leone to Liberia, Liberia to Guinea, and the other line that will be connecting Senegal to Guinea-Bissau to Mali. Those lines will be completed by next year. So that means the 14 countries will be connected. But for us to synchronize so that power will flow from Nigeria to Senegal and from Senegal to Nigeria, we have to synchronize the systems. And the synchronization process is what we are doing now.
Do you think there is need for more laws for the power sector to work better?
If there's any problem, I think the problem may be with the implementation. Last year, I led the CEOs of West Africa, CEOs of WAP in West Africa to Germany, where we toured the facilities in Germany and we visited their own regulator. We visited their Ministry of Energy in September last year. And I can tell you, in terms of law, our law is even better than that of Germany. You understand? So I don't think there's a big problem with the law. The problem is with the implementation. And if you look at what is happening in Nigeria, we are working to resolve the problem with the implementation.
Is the market operator of TCN playing the regulator's role by enforcing discipline in the electricity market?
Nobody will work in the sector without NAC. Let me give you an example. In the market rule, section 74, subsection A and D, specify that if the market operator discover there is a licensee, there is a disco, for example, that cannot meet its obligation under the market rule, the market operator is supposed to petition NAC that this disco is incapable of fulfilling its responsibility under the market. And the regulator will enforce what they call their own business continuity regulation to deal with that disco accordingly. So you see, the rules, all these rules are rules that the NAC enforces. And whatever we are doing, we are reporting to NAC. There is nothing we are doing that we are not informing NAC, and NAC is not part of it. No.
How does the sector benefit from this market rule enforcement regime?
The money for the service provider that we are enforcing now and ensuring NAC discos comply and pay according to what the market specifies. Who are the beneficiaries of the service provider payment? Is TSP, ISO, NAC, and MBET. They're the beneficiary. So that is how it is. And once that money also goes to NAC, part of excess budget of NAC, the operational expenses of NAC, revenue over the operational expenses of NAC, at the end of the year goes to rural electrification. So you see, everybody benefit if we do the right thing. And what is rural electrification supposed to do? Rural electrification will take care of those people in rural areas where they may not be able to have the capacity to have to pay for electricity like people in cities. You understand what I'm saying? So this is how the market is supposed to be. So enforcement of market rule is not only to benefit TCN, but to benefit the whole market.
That was an exciting session with the MD of TCN, Mr. Usman Guru Mohammed. Keep a date with us next week for another insightful interview package. We're bringing you more reports in the Power Flash segments. Please don't go away. We appreciate you for sticking with us through the course of this program. Join us next week on the same station for a refreshing edition of Power Wheel. This episode and the previous ones are available on our YouTube channel. You can also connect with us on these other platforms showing on your screen. I am Chinwenwa Anyao. Bye for now.